So again, if we remind ourselves what velocity is, velocity is equal to the change in distance, or in our case, I'll put the interval distance divided by the interval time, the change in time. And we should always put our units in parentheses so we keep track of them. And if it doesn't look nice, we can always wrap that. And now we can do the math. So we want to do the interval distance, which is in G3, divided by the interval time, which is in G2. And now we can fill that down. And if you notice here, the decimals are kind of ugly. You can format that with the A. If we go to cell, and then we can go decimal places, I'll drop it down to 2, so we can just see that. Now it doesn't change the number, the value there, it just rounds off the answer to display. So it's still, all the decimals are inside the computer, but it just displays the rounded value. Well, now we want to graph this. Well, actually, first here we could put a 0, because we know that it started at 0 time, or zero velocity. It started from rest. It wasn't moving when we started it. And so now we got these velocities here. What I really like to do is graph that. But we have a problem here, is that if we want to graph this, there's no way for us on the iPad app to make this chart the way we want it to. So if I go down to scatter, this is not what I want. Where did it go? I hit the wrong one. This is not going to be the right one for you here. So let's check it again. Scatter chart. Now I gotta hit the check mark. All right, so here the velocity is starting at 0 and going to 3, which is what doesn't seem like we have the right x-axis here. Looks a little strange. So what we want to do here is we want to use the full featured version of this. Now the app works for some little things, but since I couldn't do the graph, I looked around and I actually came up with a better fix for us. It's always changing in the world of iPads. If you go into Safari, usually I tell you Google Apps, but if we go to Safari and we go to it.spps.org, you can log into your Google Apps quickly if you haven't done it yet through Safari. So I'll click on it there. It looks like I'm already logged in, so it didn't ask me for it. But now we can go to your Google Drive. But see, now it took me to the app. So this is what I don't want to have happen. I don't want to be in the app. So I'm going to go back here. And to force it into the browser, you can just type in drive.google.com. And what this will do is you open your Google Drive, but we're in the browser. We're still in the Safari browser now, which gives us some more features. Now, you can maybe find... Here now, if I click Toy Car Example and I click on it, this is what I want to find. But here again, it took me to the app. I don't want to be in the app. So you can force it to stay in Sheets in the browser by typing sheets.google.com. Let's see, sheets.google.com. And now this is going to open up Sheets, but force it to stay in the browser. So now I'm in Sheets here, but I can click on my Toy Car Example, and it's going to do this, but now I'm in the browser view. So this is going to be the full-featured Google Sheets, which is much, much easier to use. So, you know, if you like the app for some things, that's great, but we do need to know how to switch it over to the browser version to get the graph we want. So here again, I'm going to highlight what we want. But now, when you're in the browser, the trick to when the full-featured one is you always want to highlight your X first. So in this graph here, I want the adjusted time to be my X. And then I'm going to insert a chart. And now I can go down here, and so my adjusted time is there. I guess that's not what I want. Jeez Louise, they always keep changing. I'm going to put the adjusted time up here. Down here, I'm going to remove that series. And now I want the adjusted time is in the X. The series I want, I'm going to hit the little graph button. And now it's going to allow me to select a range. Now, sometimes you can't see what you're doing. I got lucky here, and I could could highlight. You could also type that if you want to. So now it's always good to check that I have the units matched up. I got D1 to D6, that's my X, H1 to H6 is my Y. So now when I make that graph here, this is the graph I want. So I think it is, although they put it just in time over here. I think that's a leftover. Just to make sure, we can go back to setup and notice adjusted times are X and velocities are Y. So I think this title here is off. We can go click something else here. This is our velocity. All right, and then I can also change this to horizontal title, and here's where I'm going to put in my time. All right, so this is looking better. If I wanted to be real careful here, I put my velocity, and actually the units here, we did the distance in boards divided by time in second. So the units here are going to be boards per second. So this one looks much better. And now I can see what happened to my speed here in the first few moments. The speed started at 0, and it looks like it's increasing, but not real smooth. So we'll have to investigate that later. But those are the tools that you guys need to finish this assignment.